Ya Ali Madad, my dear friends. Welcome once again to the Esoteric Study Circle. Today we embark on a sacred reflection on the 2025 Dallas Didar Farman of Maulana Shah Rahim al-Husseini, a Farman filled with light, wisdom, and esoteric guidance for the soul. In this deep dive, we explore the deeper meanings woven into every line, how the Imam invites us toward recognition, service, humility, and alignment with the eternal chain of guidance. Before we begin, a humble request from the heart. If you find meaning in these sessions, please subscribe to the Esoteric Study Circle YouTube channel. Every new subscriber strengthens this mission, encourages us to continue creating transformative content, and helps us bring these reflections to you with even greater dedication. And as always, your likes and shares help this light travel further reaching hearts that are quietly searching for guidance, clarity, and connection. So let's step together into today's reflection. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something really significant. Our sources are excerpts and summaries of the 2025 Dallas Didar Farman of Maulana Shah Rahim al-Husseini. And our mission today isn't just to summarize what was said. We're here to analyze what our sources call the spiritual architecture that underpins the whole thing.
That's the perfect phrase for it. Because when you look closely, you see it's not just a series of announcements. It's a complete roadmap for the soul's entire journey. It's a philosophy for living.
Absolutely. So the big question for us today is, how does this guidance act as a living spiritual force? How does it actively strengthen a believer's soul, keep it on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path, and maybe most profoundly seal that bond of guardianship even after death?
And the first thing that just jumps right off the page from the very first words is this idea of holistic care.
Right.
The guidance immediately addresses the believer's entire existence. It makes it clear that the care is for both the spiritual and material lives. It's not a religion that says, worry about your soul and ignore the world.
No, it's completely integrated. It really sets the theme of balance from the very beginning.
It does. It sets the stage for everything else. These two dimensions are inseparable.
Okay, so let's start right there at that foundation. Let's unpack the opening address, this ocean of blessings and guardianship. The Farman opens with this language of incredible intimacy and love. Our sources point out that the community is addressed as my dearest, my spiritual children. And then there's the term kanavadan, which means family or household. And that is so significant.
Why that term specifically?
Because it immediately changes the entire dynamic of the relationship.
Right.
Calling believers my spiritual children establishes a bond of guidance and, unconditional love. It's not about transactional authority.
It's familial.
It's familial. It positions the Imam as the spiritual parent, the progenitor of the soul of the community. And that relationship, that foundation, dictates the incredible depth of the blessings that come next.
And those blessings are just so comprehensive. The sources list them out. Peace, good health, harmony in families, unity, and mushkil asan, relief from difficulties.
And again, it's explicitly for both spiritual and material lives. This establishes that the divine concern, which is manifested through the Imam, it covers everything, the whole human experience.
But the embrace goes even further, doesn't it? It's not just for the people physically in that hall in Dallas.
No, and this is a really profound esoteric point. The guidance makes a special point to extend the blessings beyond physics.
How does that work, this idea of non-physical presence?
The Farman assures everyone who couldn't be there physically that they are, and this is the direct phrase, especially present in the Imam's heart and prayers.
Wow.
What that confirms is that the power of the blessings for spiritual enlightenment, for worldly success, for safety, it's based entirely on that spiritual bond of Jamat, not on whether you're in the same room.
So proximity is spiritual, not geographical.
Exactly. The spiritual current is always flowing. For you, the believer, it means that your sincere attention, your remembrance, your alignment of the heart, that's just as powerful as being physically present.
This is where it gets truly expansive, though, because the guardianship doesn't just cross space, it crosses time. The Farman even addresses the Rouhani members of the Jamat.
The souls who have passed on, yes.
What are the implications of that, of this eternal guardianship?
It's the deepest possible confirmation of a continuous, eternal protection. Special blessings are offered for the eternal peace and rest of their souls. It's a demonstration that the Imam's spiritual authority and mercy continue across the veil of death. The guardianship is perpetual.
And our sources connect this directly to Quranic principles, to the idea of a universal divine mercy.
They do, and it's a perfect connection. The source points to the verse, "My mercy encompasses all things." The Imam's guardianship is presented as the place, the locus, where you can actually experience that all-encompassing mercy.
So whether you're here struggling in this world or you're a soul in the next.
You are still within the Imam's spiritual care. The bond is unbroken.
This also seems to anchor the community's whole perspective on life, balancing worldly success with spiritual enlightenment.
Precisely. It's a constant reminder that this life is temporary. We're reminded of the verse, "This worldly life is nothing but play and distraction, while the abode of the hereafter is the true life." So the Imam is blessing our temporary journey here, but always keeping our focus on the ultimate eternal destination.
And this preparation for the soul's journey is, well, it's deeply rooted in the esoteric tradition, isn't it? The source mentions the Pir Pandyat-i Jawan Mardi.
The advices of manliness, yes. It advises believers to purify the heart, to prepare for the soul's return journey to the friend.
And the guidance in Dallas for the Rouhani members.
It's a direct reinforcement of that mission. It shows that the journey back is actively guided and supported by the Imam of the time. It's a complete assurance that your spiritual efforts in this life are not forgotten, that friendship is eternal.
So to sum up this first part, every blessing is essentially an active spiritual act. It's designed to strengthen your soul, align you with the straight path, and guarantee a spiritual friendship that literally transcends life and death.
It's the ultimate spiritual insurance. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so from those broad blessings, the Farman then moves to the core mechanism of that connection, the bay'ah, the oath of allegiance. The Imam states that the bay'ah pledged has been accepted. Now, for many, bay'ah might seem like a formal, maybe even historical event. What's the living reality of it being reaffirmed here?
That's a great question because it's so much more than a ceremony. The bay'ah is, you could say, the spiritual constitution of this entire relationship. Reaffirming it emphasizes its permanent spiritual bond between the Imam and the Jamat.
So not a one-time event.
Not at all. It's a dynamic, continuous spiritual alignment. And the source makes a crucial point. This bond is grounded in freedom and love, not compulsion. It's a willing covenant. You enter it through recognition, through Imam Shanasi.
And right after accepting it, the Imam gives one of the most direct, powerful declarations of care I've ever read. He says, "I care for you. Your Imam cares for your safety and security, for your spiritual and material elevation, and for your happiness and well-being. I will always be connected to you through the bay'ah." I have to push on this a little. To an outsider, that might sound like it's demanding fealty or creating dependence. How do we understand this as an inner covenant of freedom?
That is the critical distinction. Spiritually, bay'ah is a volitional act of alignment. You are choosing to align yourself with divine guidance. It's not about organizational control. So the care that's promised for safety, elevation, that's the result of the alignment. If you align your heart and your intention with the source of guidance, the nur, the light of imanat, naturally flows to protect and lift up your soul. The care is constant because the spiritual reality is constant.
So the promise is the effect, not the cause of the allegiance.
Exactly. And this declaration is really a living commentary on a principle that was established decades ago. The fundamental principle is the recognition of the Imam of the time. It is the Imam who interprets the faith. It is the Imam who guides the Jamat.
And the bay'ah is the channel for that.
Dallas Farman confirms that the bay'ah is the active, permanent channel that lets that guidance flow into your life. It makes the abstract principle of imat something concrete and practical.
So the bay'ah is the spiritual wiring, so to speak. It connects the abstract idea to the concrete day-to-day care. And this is then tied back to the ultimate divine source.
Absolutely. The Farman grounds this entire connection in a really stunning Quranic reality. It references the verse from the Prophet's time. Indeed, those who give bay'ah to you are actually giving bay'ah to Allah. The hand of Allah is above their hands.
That is just such profound imagery. The Imam becomes the present-day locus, the place where that divine hand is actually experienced in time and history.
Yes. It elevates the whole act of bay'ah far beyond a simple human oath. It means your act of commitment is fundamentally an act of submitting to the divine will, which is manifested through this lineage of guidance.
So it's an immediate, transcendent connection.
It is. The Pir Pandyat-i Jawan Mardi teaches believers to keep Ali of your time in your hearts and on your tongues for protection. And this assurance in Dallas, I will always be connected to you through the bay'ah, is the modern living form of that same ancient spiritual protection.
Let's dig into that idea of bay'ah as a permanent state. How do you, as a believer, maintain that connection daily? It can't just be about remembering the ceremony.
No, and this is where spiritual discipline comes in. The bay'ah becomes a state of continuous awareness, of intention. It means you have to constantly check your actions, your motivations, against the guidance you've received.
So it's an active process.
It's very active. If your heart is purified through remembrance and ethical living, the channel stays clear. If your heart gets clouded by, worldly greed or ethical lapses, the connection isn't broken by the Imam, but your capacity to receive that guidance is reduced.
So the permanence is on the Imam's side. The effectiveness is on the believer's side.
That's a perfect way to put it. The commitment is permanent. The effectiveness depends on our continuous effort.
So the big takeaway here is that bay'ah is not just a ceremony. It's a continuous spiritual alignment and inner covenant. It's what keeps you plugged into divine guidance and protection. And it really defines the spiritual status of your soul.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established this powerful inner covenant. The Farman then shifts to how that bond manifests on the outside. In civic life, particularly in the U.S., the Imam talks about his joy during the visit, calling it very, very happy, and noting it was the longest visit to any Jamat. This seems to be a very direct sign of affection. The amount of physical time spent is a clear, measurable sign of that spiritual affection. And that joy is directly tied to the community's outward behavior.
How so?
The Imam expresses explicit pride in the Jamat's reputation, and he highlights the keys to the cities and proclamations of welcome from civic leaders. He sees these honors as direct confirmation that the Jamat is capable, talented, and making a positive impact.
It's fascinating. That outward social success isn't just a nice thing to have. It's framed as an esoteric mirror of the community's inner ethics. How does that link work?
The source connects it right back to the Quran. Whoever does good, it is for their own soul. If the community acts with integrity and serves others, that inner discipline naturally reflects outward as a good reputation. The pride the Imam expresses is a validation of that collective effort.
So worldly success, when it's built on ethical principles, becomes proof of spiritual health.
It does. Think about it. If the community had a poor reputation, it would signal a breakdown, a failure to turn inner guidance into outward action. The fact that he's proud of the civic honors confirms that the Jamat is fulfilling its mission in the modern world.
And this leads right into the institutional manifestation of that outward face, the Houston Ismaili Center. It's designated as the Darkhana, the spiritual house for the United States.
And it's described as an ambassadorial building, a place of elegance that represents the faith.
What does that term Darkhana mean spiritually, especially when you pair it with this ambassadorial function?
Darkhana signifies a spiritual nexus, a focal point. It's so much more than a building. It's a spiritual pivot where the collective heart of the Jamat connects with the Nur of Imamat. It's where the community gathers for prayer, for service, for education.
And its outward face, the ambassadorial part.
Outwardly, the Farman stresses that it must be a beacon of pluralism, a place that shows Islam as a faith of peace, mediation, and bridge building. Ambassadorial means it represents the values of the faith to the outside world through its architecture, its gardens, its programs. It has to communicate intellect, compassion, beauty.
And the Imam affirms that these values, the values of the Tariqa, are universal. They're not just for the East, they're just as relevant in the West.
Right. And that makes the center a physical manifestation of this bridge. It connects beautifully to the Quranic idea of the middle community. Thus, we have made you a middle community, that you may be witnesses over humankind.
A balanced community.
A balanced, moderate, just community. The center is the tangible place where the Jamat can practice being that witness in society. The Nur of the Imam inspires these institutions that embody dialogue and beauty. It's making mercy Rahma manifest in the public square.
So if we synthesize this, the Ismaili Center is like the symbolic outer heart. Outwardly, it's an ambassador of pluralism. Inwardly, it's a mirror for the Nur of Imamat. It shows that spiritual health has to translate into strong, ethical, civic engagement.
It's the perfect physical embodiment of that inner reality.
Following this, the Farman really zooms in on a non-negotiable religious duty, the ethics of trust. The instruction is so direct, the Jamat must be a community who can be trusted. Your word has to be reliable.
This is where ethics are elevated from just being a social good to being a core spiritual requirement. The guidance gives a very strong condemnation of anyone who misleads or misappropriates, whether it's cheating another believer or anyone else.
He calls it unacceptable.
Unacceptable and an absolute contradiction to the Jamat's values. But the key point here is the collective consequence.
Right. It's not just about the individual.
No. The Imam is very clear that these actions don't just harm the victim, they damage the reputation of the entire Jamat worldwide and can even put the community at risk. This transforms your personal ethics into a global religious obligation. It's a huge responsibility.
And the sources link this right back to the Quran, to fundamental commands like, "O you who believe, fulfill all contracts," and Allah commands you to render trusts to whom they are due. So this isn't a new law. It's a powerful reaffirmation for our times. But let's go deeper into the esoteric meaning. The source talks about trust as a spiritual condition. What does it mean that trust is a spiritual substance?
That's a deep concept, often found in Sufi thought. The heart is seen as a mirror, right? A mirror meant to reflect the divine light, the Noor. Well, integrity, honesty, trustworthiness, these are the things that polish that mirror. Trust itself, that inner commitment to fulfill your obligations, is seen as a spiritual substance deposited in the heart by God.
So breaking a trust isn't just a bad action.
It's an act that actively dirties the mirror. The Pir Pandiati Jawan Mardi talks about being held accountable for the gifts of wealth, sight, reason. Cheating is a misuse of those gifts. It darkens the soul. When you break a trust, you are veiling the mirror of your own heart, which makes it harder to see, to recognize the Noor of Imamat.
Wow. So ethical failure is actually a spiritual failure of sight.
Precisely. Your ethical actions directly impact your spiritual vision.
That connects perfectly to the next instruction, which is the religious duty of living a good, meaningful, healthy life.
It's that holistic view again. The Imam confirms that taking care of your physical and mental potential is a religious duty. Your body is an amanat, a trust from God.
But there's a crucial warning attached.
A constant reminder. We're only here for a short time, and only our souls are eternal. So you should live ethically and healthily as a way of giving thanks to Allah for the gift of life. But physical health is in service to the health of the soul.
You can't let one overshadow the other.
Never. Believers are explicitly told to take time for the health of the soul, to be aware of it, to tend to it, to nourish it with quiet contemplation and prayer. This spiritual maintenance is essential because the soul is the only part of you making that return journey.
And the sources connect all of this, health, ethics, directly to the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path from Surat al-Fatiha. This Farman seems to define the straight path in very practical terms.
It does. The straight path isn't some abstract theological concept here. It's something you embody. Previous guidance in Bombay in 1967 was about understanding concepts. Dallas takes it a step further.
How so?
It says knowledge must transform into character. It's not enough to intellectually understand integrity. Your soul has to be strengthened and illuminated by living with integrity. The Quran has to move from the mind into the very fabric of our being. That is how you walk the straight path in the modern world.
So the core message is that the health of your soul is the ultimate measure of your success. And everything else, your career, your health, your reputation, should be tools to strengthen that soul for its journey home.
That's the essence of it.
So after laying out this entire ethical and spiritual framework, the Imam then provides a very specific, very tangible tool, the Tasbih, the prayer beads. This is described as a very tender, personal gift to each believer.
It's a beautiful moment. And the Tasbih isn't just a simple gift. It's given a specific mandate. It's a piece of spiritual technology, really. The source lays out 4 key functions for it.
Okay, let's break those down. The first one seems clear. It's a reminder of balance in life. It brings us right back to that holistic principle from the beginning.
Correct. The second function is to use it to remember with gratitude all of Allah's blessings. The simple act of moving the beads helps refocus your mind away from what you lack and toward thanksgiving.
And the third function. This one is a huge leap. It's about giving thanks not just for the good things, but for the challenges, which are also described as gifts from Allah. That reframes everything.
This is transformative. It's asking the believer to adopt a spiritual vision where everything that happens, good and bad, is seen as part of divine wisdom and mercy. If you can see challenges as gifts, they stop being obstacles and start being opportunities for spiritual growth.
So the Tasbih becomes a tool to help you hold that paradox. Gratitude in both ease and difficulty.
Exactly. And the final function is the actual content of the remembrance. To remember Allah, to call the name of the Prophet and the names of the Imams. And the assurance is that if you do this sincerely, it will purify the heart and bring true happiness.
From an esoteric perspective, then, the Tasbih is like a physical scale of balance, holding faith and world, gratitude and trial together. But how does that act of remembrance actually lead to purification?
Purification, or taskiyah, happens when you quiet the internal noise and focus the heart on a single point. The rhythmic repetition, the dhikr, acts like a spiritual anchor, pulling all your scattered thoughts back to the divine center. It's the practical application of the Quranic verse. Remember me, I will remember you.
So when your tongue and heart are busy with remembrance,
The heart finds stillness, and the impurities, the anxieties, the resentments, the attachments, they begin to fade. The Pir Pandiyati Jawan Marty says the believer's tongue should be busy with remembrance, not gossip. This guidance gives the precise focus for that remembrance.
so esoterically, each beat of the Tasbih is a moment of conscious choice. You're transforming ordinary time into sacred time. It's like a portable version of the permanent bond from the Bayah.
It is a constant physical reminder.
Now let's talk about the Nazrana, the material offerings, and how that's connected to social justice. The Imam accepts the offerings, but what he does next is the real key.
It is. He explains that the Nazrana will be used to support those needing help in the U.S. Jamat, especially those who have settled in recent years. This is a profoundly important spiritual and ethical move.
It transforms the entire act of giving.
It transforms material wealth into a vehicle for social justice and compassion. It shows that the Tariqa is committed to communal solidarity. Your material offering becomes a true Nazrana, a truly accepted sacrifice, when the Imam reinvests it into lifting up the most vulnerable members of the community.
So it completes the cycle of giving.
It completes the cycle and fulfills the Quranic commands to help the needy. It makes the Jamat a self-sustaining ecosystem of mutual care. The old texts teach about giving the Imam's share. This guidance shows how that share is divinely transformed into mercy in action.
And finally, there's another special gift mentioned. The Fatimid coins and glass weights. That feels heavy with symbolism. Why connect the modern U.S. Jamat to the Fatimid era?
Well, the Fatimid Caliphate was a golden age. It was an era defined by its patronage of knowledge, pluralism, science, and a flourishing civilization. Cairo, under the Fatimids, was a global center of enlightenment that welcomed scholars from all faiths.
So the gift is a reminder of that heritage.
It's more than a reminder. It's a spiritual anchor. It's telling the contemporary Jamat in the West, a society grappling with these very issues of pluralism and identity, that you are the heirs to a tradition that championed these values 1,000 years ago.
It's an invitation.
It's an invitation to reawaken that same spirit, that spirit of intellectual curiosity, tolerance, and building a great civilization. It's an exhortation to become, in spirit, modern-day Fatimids.
So all of these tools, the Tasbih, the rechanneled Nazrana, the Fatimid symbolism, they are all designed to keep the believer inwardly connected and outwardly responsible, building that complete spiritual architecture.
Perfectly put.
And that brings us to the culmination of the Farman, the final, intimate spiritual assurance that goes beyond any physical separation. The Imam says, so explicitly, I never leave you. Your Imam is always with you.
This is maybe the most powerful message of all. It consolidates everything we talked about, the Bayah, the guardianship. It directly addresses the sorrow of physical departure and transforms it. It turns absence into a different kind of presence.
And it comes with a very clear, very simple directive for you, the believer. Call on your Imam. Remember your Imam. That's the practical path to feeling that continuous presence.
And the promise is absolute. The Imam is with you, is caring for you, praying for you, and sending you blessings. This is the ultimate experience of divine closeness, manifested through the Imam. It means that every moment of your life, every challenge, is shared in this unbroken spiritual connection.
Our sources connect this very phrase, I never leave you, to that famous Quranic verse. We are closer to the human being than their jugular vein. How does the Imam's assurance help a believer practically understand that divine closeness?
The tradition teaches that for many believers, the abstract closeness of Allah is most tangibly experienced as the continuous presence of the Imam's guiding light, the Nur, in their heart. The physical departure of the Imam is not an absence of that spiritual reality.
It's an invitation.
It's an invitation to deepen your understanding that the Didar, the vision, is primarily an internal spiritual event. This is the core of the journey. It links back to the Golden Jubilee guidance to hold fast to the Quran and the Al-Bayt. If you've held that rope, you're now being told, I'm always with you. The physical separation is almost a spiritual test to shift you from relying on the external form to relying on the internal Nur.
And this also echoes that ancient advice from the pure Pandiyati Jawan Marty to keep Ali of your time in your hearts and on your tongues.
Exactly. That ancient advice for protection is updated in Dallas to this simple, profound method. Call on your Imam, remember your Imam. It's the direct path. It places the responsibility of initiating that connection on you. You have to consciously engage in that remembrance.
The Farman's final exhortation is to stay firm on Sirat al-Mustaqim. In this context, that seems to mean something very deep, a kind of interior alignment.
It does. Staying firm isn't just about avoiding bad deeds. It's about achieving Imam Shanasi, that recognition of the Imam. It means remaining interiorly aligned with the Imam's nur so that your thoughts, your intentions, your actions are all constantly oriented toward that source of guidance. It's a state of perpetual spiritual wakefulness.
So the inner message is that the physical departure isn't an ending. It's a sacred invitation to shift from the outer Didar to the inner Diyar, to live every single moment in that conscious remembrance and reliance.
Yes, that's the ultimate goal of the guidance.
So if we step back and look at this whole Dallas Farman as a piece of spiritual architecture, it really is a perfect blueprint. It's designed for the eternal well-being of the soul, connecting the spiritual and material worlds without any seams.
A beautiful summary.
Let's try and synthesize that tapestry for everyone listening. What are the core pillars of this architecture?
Well, the foundation is absolutely the permanent loving bond of Bayah. That's the channel through which the nur flows. And it affirms that principle of holistic care for both your spiritual and material life.
And then on top of that foundation, we have the practical tools and institutions that bring it to life.
Precisely. The Tasbih is the inner heartbeat. It's the spiritual technology for balance and gratitude, even for your challenges. And the Houston Ismaili Center is the outer heart, the ambassadorial building that embodies pluralism and service to the world.
And the ethical demands, the absolute insistence on trustworthiness and service that ensures the light you receive flows back out into the world. It makes the community one that can be trusted.
Even the Nazrana offering is transformed into social justice. The whole structure is an invitation to live in a way so that when your soul returns to the divine, it's not empty-handed. It returns clothed in gratitude, remembrance, service, and above all, recognition of the Imam of the time, Imam Shanasi.
That is the ultimate goal. So, to quickly review the key takeaways for you, our listener, think of it this way. 1. The permanent bond through Bayah guarantees you continuous care. 2. The need for holistic well-being, treating your body and soul as an integrated religious duty. 3. The Tasbih as daily spiritual technology for balance and purification. 4. The absolute necessity of ethics and trust as a spiritual condition. And 5. The profound assurance of the continuous presence of the Imam, with the directive to call on your Imam, remember your Imam.
And that last, most intimate assurance brings us to a final provocative thought for your own contemplation. The first calls those words, I never leave you, call on your Imam, remember your Imam, the esoteric key. So here's the question. If you held those words with absolute certainty and love, how might they transform every single breath into a subtle Didar? How might that move you beyond a transactional faith, a fear of hell or a hope for paradise, to achieve the pure desire for the vision of the beloved? That is the essence of the journey this Farman invites you to take.
Dear friends, what a blessing it is to reflect on the luminous guidance of Maulana Shah Rahim. May this understanding deepen our love, faith, and certainty, and draw us ever closer to the Imam's light in both Zahir and Batin. If this reflection touched your heart, I invite you to subscribe to the Esoteric Study Circle YouTube channel. Your subscription isn't just a click. It strengthens our shared mission, supports this sacred work, and gives us the encouragement to continue creating deep, soul-illuminating content for our Ilmi family.
And please like and share this with your family, friends, and anyone seeking truth, because sometimes a single spark of insight can awaken an entire circle of souls. We will return very soon with another profound and enlightening deep dive. Ya Ali Madan.